I was going to mention it at the top and then forgot.
And I was going to make sure
Me
at the
too,
top, and I forgot.
as well.
Apologies. Barry,
Yes, and I think that it would follow along with the strategic plan if we, had these things delineated in policy, because that's the statement we made.
right. So going forward, are we going to take this back a step and take a look at it and add the additions, or?
Well, why don't we, sorry, where's my hand? Yeah. I'll just go back into the conversation again. Why don't we move it forward as is with that caveat, and then bring it back to the next policy meeting with some language embedded in it for a final reading, and that Carol and I work on that next time we get together.
Is that good for everybody? Everybody's good with that? Julie?
Yeah, no, I'm fine with that. I was leaning toward putting a pause on it, but if it works, that in terms of process, proper process, that we can embed that language prior to third reading.
Okay,
I'm wondering though, in terms of process, even if new language, does that demand for 1, 2, 3 readings? I don't know.
I don't think adding a line about the trees is a substantive change in direction.
okay.
And that's what first, second, and third reading allows for, is for the changes that may come from the public, it may come from anywhere, that we entertain it, and then we decide how it looks. And so we'll reshape this with this discussion in time for third reading.
Okay,
I
so the
think-
understanding is that Dr. Jory and I will look at it at our next meeting and put the additions in, and then we'll go for third reading in September, for the September meeting. Moving on, 301 living wage is moving to second reading. Is there any, oh, Elaine, sorry, I didn't see your hand.
Yeah,
there.
I was gonna speak on process, but I won't bother.
Are you sure? Okay. So moving forward, 301 living wage. Is there any discussion? Yes, Julie.
Well, yeah, this is my broken record piece. Again, I would not be voting for this to go to second reading, because just that change of word from ensure to encourage, to me, has changed the whole tone of the policy and the reason for the policy. I'm not even sure why we would have the policy if we don't have that word ensure in there. So once again, that's my little plug for that. I do have a call into the provincial living wage people. I just haven't heard back from them yet.
Great, thank you, Julie. Dr. Jory.
Well, Trustee Austin and I seem to be in agreement on this. I mean, my challenge with this policy from the get-go was that I didn't think we were able to follow it in the current form, and by softening this one word, I feel like we actually potentially could be following it, and I feel a lot better about it. I'm not married to either word, to be honest. If the board wants to go back to ensure, I'll play along. I do want to draw your attention to the AP. I've made another modification in there based on my conversations with the nice people at Living Wage. It's a great suggestion to reach out. I had a great chat with one of the staff, and then she referred me to her manager. And her manager sent me some language and said, here's your, and I was, letting her know what my challenge was. And it was really in just to remind everybody, in the realm of, people we contract or local businesses we use to, support us with events primarily. And she says, well, we've got language in our own policy. Maybe you would like to use that. And so I plugged that in. And their threshold is much different than ours was supposed to be, or we thought ours should be. And what they say in their own policy is 120 hours per year, or and she's English, and so she said not 0.5% of total purchasing budget. And so that's like $350,000 or near enough before we get into the obligation. So it's a pretty significant job. And so given that is their policy, I propose that we plug this into our AP. And because that really does solve all of my concerns. I think, yes, we are paying this as an employer. If we have a big contracting job, they must pay that too. But other than that, you know, we can carry on. And the question, and this is not a policy question necessarily, although I would like the board's opinion, do we want to sign up again? Because there's an annual membership and there's a bit of a process around that, although I think we would qualify and wouldn't have to do anything else.
Thank you. Julie?
Okay, Peter, I wasn't aware that you had talked to the living wage folks, so that's great, and thank you, because to me, that was one of the pieces that was missing, and I feel great that they were able to help you with some language and some of the things that you were uncomfortable with. So having said all that, I would request that we return to the word ensure. Peter doesn't seem to be bothered if we do that, as long as we have that other piece in the AP. And I think that this looks like it, you know, Peter and I have reached a place where we can both be somewhat comfortable with it. Yay.
Elaine?
Yeah, I was waiting for the report back from the living wage people. And I'm just looking at the upgraded. I think I'm with Julie on this. I think we could strengthen the policy given that AP. And yeah, so I think that's where I'm sitting with this one. Thank you.
So moving forward, are we moving forward or are we moving backwards, Eve?
Well, I'm sort of the mind that I think that the notion of the living wage and the statement by the board has run its course. When we said it the first time, it was many, many years ago, and it was pretty much top of mind there. So I'm sort of more still in the camp of that. I think it's run its course, and we've done our work with it, and we took some leadership at the time. If other trustees wish to go back to ensure versus encourage, and it doesn't hold us to the line with the AP clarification on what it means, what work means, I can revert back to ensure, but that 4B from the living wage folks sets an interesting threshold that I think gives us more strength.
Julie?
Yeah, I think if it were different times, perhaps I could agree with Eve, but because of the times we're in, the incredibly inflationary times, the struggles that people are having, I think this is still a very important policy and statement to make. And I think it creates that statement, sorry, it creates that statement for the province. Sorry, I'm just gonna turn that on. And for everyone else. So I think it's necessary then, if we change the word back to ensure, to keep this policy statement. And it's also something I would like to continue to pursue and register with the provincial living wage folks. And I think they are a great asset to us to touch base with.
Thank you. Barry?
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it's always when costs rise faster than wages do, but so I have a question. Like this afternoon, we're going to be at the Bayside. Now, does this policy that we're having, does this relate to that? Do the employees who are going to be working with us at the Bayside, do they have to be getting the living wage? Or is it that's a separate thing? I'm just genuinely curious how far this goes.
Yes, Peter.
Well, this was my my issue with this originally.
Yeah.
But given the threshold being 120 hours of labor or not 0.5%, we're well below that threshold. So we can go and, use a vendor for food services, and we're not going to come anywhere close to that. So therefore it should be fine.
So it's 120 hours per person or collectively, like all the people there?
I think it's collectively.
Oh, yeah, okay.
We're still under it though.
Yeah, okay.
We think about all the, if we only use that one vendor, we would, for all of our events, we would still be under 120 hours, I would think.
Thank you.
Okay, so where are we gonna go with this, Peter? Are we revoting or?
No, what I hear is some pretty strong consensus, or not, or compromise even, that I'll flip the words back in the policy and bring it back. We can go on to, is this third reading or is it second reading?
This is second reading, so
Yeah.
could we have the additions continue on, but have the addition for the third reading?
Yeah, and basically we're just going back to the way it was anyway, so, but yes, that's it. Just, it's a 1 minute, correction.
All right, okay, thank you, everybody. Moving on then, policies potentially going to a third and final reading are A 106, financial reporting and operations surplus. Is there any discussion on that? Seeing none. B is 900, privacy management and accountability and APs, personal information management and access, privacy breach response, and privacy impact assessment. So that's going to third reading as well.
Yep.
Any discussion? No, moving forward.
Could we
Yeah.
just make sure that everybody understands that these last two policies are going to third and final reading with the APs?
Yeah.
Like, I want to make sure that people get that.
Yeah. Ron, do you have any comments? No?
No, I didn't. Yeah, again, noting that second and first reading kind of, again, that's where the discussion happened. There wasn't really any queries in terms of changes or confusion. So I think it's stands as it was in first reading.
Oh, final review, including input on the APs. Thank you, Elaine, for assisting me with that. Are there any future topics? Seeing none. So this was a quick meeting. Our next
I'll
meeting,
just say I'm going to say it again. I do think we need to start painting that bridge again. And that'll point out any policies that require some update, like our sustainable practices that needed some modernization.
thank you. Peter.
It was nice to have a little reprieve and cherry pick. But Carol and I will endeavor to get organized and consider at least starting the process again from the beginning in our next meeting.
Right. Thank you so much. I actually didn't think we did too much cherry picking. I think it's been pretty full for the time of my assignment that we've looked at a lot of different policies. So, and I thank you, Peter, for your support on all of them. Anyways, seeing no further hands, the next meeting is going to be Monday, September 18th. For everybody that is going on holidays, have a nice summer break. And for my fellow colleagues, I will see you throughout the summer. Thanks very much. Everybody have a good day.
Thanks, Carol.
Bye.